This is breaking news right here.
All right, everybody, welcome to this episode of Moneyball. And we have our special guest today, Jordan Hollifield, CEO of HGA Hybrid Grading Approach. Jordan, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
There's a lot of people that haven't used your company yet. So you use a mixture of AI and the human element to grade your cards. Can you kind of explain that for everybody?
Yeah, so there's a few companies now that will just use like AI to actually grade their cards. We take a different approach, right? Me, I'm a longtime collector, and I don't want a computer just telling me what my grade should be. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of different cards and different card types out there. So for a computer just to be able to do everything itself is a little crazy to me. But what we do is we incorporate technology in the way that we grade. So we have that AI element that our human graders will utilize to grade as well. So, your card will get, there's images of the card that's taken that our graders will actually use and be able to point stuff out to them that other people would miss. Or as graders sit there and grade hundreds of cards a day, like you kind of it brings them back to that baseline. So that's kind of the big piece is like, I don't want people to think like, hey, we're that AI company, because it's you're not. It's simply a tool that our graders use to make sure that we offer the most scientific based accurate, consistent grading in the industry. And I believe that's exactly what we offer.
There's been a lot of changes going on. Explain some of those changes. And even when I started submitting with you guys, there was a few things I didn't like. I noticed that I would get back a slab occasionally that had that curve to it. Sometimes I would have rough edges around that. What have you done? Because I've noticed some improvements. And so what have you done to make those improvements?
So here's kind of one thing with HGA. Whenever we started, we absolutely blew up. We knew that we had something here. Whenever the company was started, we knew that it was going to be successful and we were going to be a major player in the grading game. We just didn't expect that it was going to happen as fast as it did. Uh, with that, anytime that you have a startup company, there's a lot of different factors that you go through, and one of those was like the company that we were using for our slabs. We kept saying like, hey, we need more, and it was really hard to project that out to say like, hey, this is what we're going to need. So it got to the point, and this was also whenever COVID was going on, and it was extremely hard getting materials and everything
Yeah,
else.
everything was backed
So,
up.
so exactly, because pre-COVID, if I needed 1,000 pounds of material, they could pick up the phone, make a call, and they could get that there very quickly. Whenever COVID was going on and right after, that stuff was taking a while. So, we had such a demand that like some of the product that we were getting in wasn't up to our standards. Since I've taken over, we've refined the QA process in each and every single one of our steps. And that's the biggest thing, all the way from the quality of like our slabs. Whenever we get our slabs, we sign off on that to say like, hey, these are good. This is what this is what we were looking for. Yes, we will accept these slabs at that point.
Yeah.
But even in each and every single one of our departments, and the quality assurance step that goes through, I've came in and it's not just me, it's been a whole team of people. We have refined that whole entire process. So we've kind of went back to the drawing board and said like, okay, this is how we've been doing things. Some things are really good, and we need to make sure that we continue to implement exactly what we're doing that's working. But at the same time, there's A, B, and C that just doesn't really work. So let's go back to the drawing board and let's change A, B, and C that doesn't work, and let's come up with a process that not only flows properly but makes sense and makes sure that we're going to put out the best product as possible. So that's one thing. Also, doing that, we became so much more efficient in each and every one of our departments. We've even automated some of these departments, which is which is great. Kind of take that human error out of some of this.
Yeah.
So we've done that, and then also like a couple other things that we've done. And I think this is one of the questions that you wanted to touch on, but as far as like our rounding standards. That's another thing that we changed. Whenever the previous owner had started, like we just kind of followed what BGS did, right? Like they use subgrades. They're another company that uses
Right.
subgrades.
And
And
now for the people that don't understand that this is how you get your final grade, right? This
exactly, yeah.
so
And so with those four subgrades that we were talking about earlier, essentially, if I have a card, then it grades 9.5, 9.5, 10.10. Per our old standards, that would be considered a overall grade of a 9.5. Whenever you average those four together, you actually get a grade of 9.75. So general math, everything in general, that actually rounds up to a 10 in everything in life. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
If I have a card and it's able to get two perfect subgrades of a 10, then and two of a 9.5 that's just zero point 0.5 off. I don't believe that should hold that card back from getting a pristine 10, is what HGA calls it. So that's another thing that we changed as well. And HGA has always been that company that's kind of been like, hey, we're going to kind of not completely turn the industry upside down, but we're going to make changes, come out with new products, and do stuff a little bit different. And that was one of those steps that I feel like needed to be taken that kind of just fit who we are and the way that we work very, very well.
Yeah. You guys weren't giving out a lot of tens, right? There was a lot of 9.5s and people were discouraged with that. And people will say, that was the reason you changed your grading scale. So, what would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely kind of went into like the decision in a way, right? We didn't want to change the way that we graded, right? The way that we grade is like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's $100,000 card or if it's $1 card. We're gonna grade that the exact same way. Um, so we didn't want to vary from the way that we grade and change our grading structure because we firmly believe in that.
Yeah.
But making this small little change that's literally at the end of the day, it was a change by 0.01%. That's all that really changed. And from that though, it does allow people to have more 9.5s. It allows people to have more 10s. It does change, it does round your grade up. So that way, if you do have a 9.5, 9.5, 10, 10 as far as your subgrades, that will round up to a 10. The same
Yeah.
thing if you have 9, 9, 9.5, 9.5, that would round up to be a 9.5.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Uh, but I would be lying if I said that, like, we always listen to our customers, right? We want to make sure that we're listening and hearing their feedback,
yeah.
because without our customers we have nothing, right? So we want to always make sure that we're listening to them, but at the same time we never want to sacrifice who we are in the way that we grade.
And that's one thing I can really attest to is that your customer service has been absolutely amazing through the whole ups and downs of the COVID and everything and all the trials and tribulations you guys had. Customer service was awesome no matter what. So I give you guys a lot of credit with that.
Yeah, and that's something that we really, really pride ourselves on. I mean, like our customer service department is absolutely top notch. And it's just and that's something that, me being, a customer before and dealing with a lot of these other grading companies, something that always just seemed to, fall flat. I mean, if you wanted to call and get a hold of, some of our competitors, it was impossible. If you wrote an email, you
For
would wait
sure.
weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and keep your fingers and toes crossed and hope that you get a response. And that was one of our core values, that we wanted to make sure that, no matter what size that we scale to, we always want to make sure that we have the best customer service in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, like you mentioned at first, you guys business is going crazier than you ever anticipated, right? I want to say that you guys had the where you gotta get approved to do a submission, right?
Yeah, it was the lottery system.
The
Yes.
lottery system. Yes, thank you. And I think you guys were allowing what 2,500 per week at one point.
At one point, it was 2,500. I want to say it got up to around 20,000 a week, before we ended up just completely dropping it at that point and kind of opening the floodgates, if you will.
Yeah,
Whenever our company was built, it was built on where 10 days means 10 days.
Right.
And that was whenever that happened, that allowed that we had a backlog at that point. So it wasn't where that 10 days meant 10 days anymore. So we did something, and we completely just halted all submissions. We said, hey, we're shutting it down. And with that, that means that there's no revenue being generated at that time. And we sat there and we worked completely through that backlog. We had even, it was a hard decision, but we could have opened up a lot sooner than what we did. But we wanted to make sure that we worked through everything before we said, like, hey, we're gonna open it back up, and we're back open for business. The reason being is we didn't want to have a customer's late order in house and you send in a 2 day order and then you get your order right back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that was something that we did that technically cost us a lot of money as a company, but it was the right thing to do. And it was the right thing to do by our customers, and it got us back to that core value that HGA was built on, where 10 days means 10 days.
Yeah, and now you guys do a full refund if your order's not back in time, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we kind of put our money where our mouth is. So we said, like, hey, here's a customer guarantee. If you put in a 2 day order, 10 day, 30 day, 60 day, does not matter. If we don't hit that turnaround time, then we will refund your order back to you with a finished product, meaning your card slab graded, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a lot of credit to your company.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
so a lot of people's concerns have been with the resale value of their cards that they're getting graded. I want to talk about this, right? Because this is a huge concern for myself, who has a lot of HGA cards, and for a lot of collectors. How are you guys going to be able to help the HGA name grow and make people comfortable continuing to invest and send you cards, and make us feel secure that the company's not going anywhere, that our investment's safe, and that you're going to continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, couple different factors, and you kind of hit on a couple of these yourself. Was one is it's the quality of our stuff. Like, of course, I am a little biased, but at the same time, like, I know that we have the best looking slabs out there. We have the best looking labels out there. We're the only company that is legitimate that you can actually customize what the overall appeal and the look of that slab actually looks like to you as a collector. Kind of the one of the things that we're missing is just like comps on these cards, right?
Right.
So, there was a time before we had shut down where, our comps were very comparable with a lot of different companies.
I agree.
And these companies are companies that have been around for 30 plus years. HGA, we're 2 years old. We're just getting started.
Yeah, you guys are
And
still babies. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is we're still babies, and with us still being babies, and in those 2 years, we've almost graded 500,000 cards. We're the fastest grading company of all time and the fifth largest by volume in the world in less than in 2 years.
Now, now,
So
now say that again. Say
so in less than 2 years, we've graded just under 500,000 cards. We're the fifth largest grading company by volume.
fifth largest in that time frame. In
Absolutely, yes.
first 2 years.
In general, there's we're the fifth largest grading company as far as like amount of cards that have been graded,
That's
and
that's
that
impressive.
and that's in 2 years, and that's in 2 years. So it's we kind of came in, we're kind of like that disrupting company, right? We kind of do some stuff that like we came out with like a horizontal slab, like there's why hasn't no one else done this? Like why I mean there's these cards that are you're having to turn like all these different ways, which if you're not aware, your audience isn't aware, we actually just came out with two additional sizes of our horizontal slabs as well. So at first we could only grade like kind of like your standard size. Now we can grade up to 140 point,
Right.
which is really so all your cards, like your thicker card stock with autos or patches and all that stuff, you'll be able to grade. There's still some like the I call them the thick boys, but the ones with the gold or the silver bar in them, like those are too thick. We can't grade those. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like 99% of what you have or what you would ever want to get graded, we can absolutely do.
And I'll say that the horizontals are awesome. I
Yep.
have maybe 5 or 6 of them, and man, they're cool. There's something different. I thought that was really good move by your company there.
Yeah, that's something that we do. And to talk about that a little bit, as far as like listening to your audience and what we do and how we value our customers and what their input is. These molds to make these, they are not cheap. They are very, very expensive to do. We actually came out with a slab and we posted it and said, like, kind of, what do you guys think? This was bought and paid for. We had a small run of this done, and it was our standard label that was like above it. So you had your card that was so big, and then your label that was smaller. And there was a lot of people were like, hey, I just don't like it, it just doesn't look right, this, that, and the other. And as a team, we sat down and we said, like, what do? We've invested this money into this, like we're ready to pull the trigger and say, like, hey, send us a bunch of these suckers and let's start slapping them, getting them out. And we said, like, hey, let's hold up, let's go back to the drawing board, let's completely redesign this. Let's come out with something that everybody's going to really like. And we did. And that ended up costing us time and money, but at the end of the day, it's a fantastic product that's quality, that's great, that nobody else does. And we're very, very proud to put our name on.
And why doesn't anybody else do it? Like, do you guys have a patent protection on it? Like, I'm surprised nobody else has done it.
I'm not 100% sure, other than like other companies just get very stagnant in the way that they do. Like for instance, a lot of these companies that we had talked about, PSA, BGS, SGC, CGC, like these are 30+ year old companies.
Right.
And they've been around, and they haven't made changes. They've got the same label that they've had essentially for the most part for years and years and years. They've not made any changes to, there's it's the 21st century. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of technology now. Why do you not use it and take advantage of it? And we do. And we're going to continue doing that and keep pushing that envelope and coming out with new products, and just keep pushing it to make sure, because at the end of the day, competition is what fuels us, right? If HGA was the only grading company to exist, uh, that would be really boring. I mean, like, yeah, I want competition. That's what drives me. I'm a very competitive person. And whenever I see somebody doing something, or that we're not, or doing something better, then that just pushes us to do it do it as, not just as good but better, beat them
Yeah.
up. So that's competition. And I think it's great that we have competitors, but at the same time, HGA is in here for the long run. We are not going anywhere. We are here. We will continue being here for many, many, many years to come, and continue to put out new stuff and better products, and just the top of the line quality that you can possibly buy.
Yeah. And like I said, I love your guys' quality. The innovation is there.
All right, guys, take a second. Please comment on this video. There's a few ways that you can really support our channel, and commenting, liking, subscribing is definitely one of those ways. So we'd really appreciate it, and let's get back to the video.
I think now you're grading roughly what, about 1,000 cards a week?
Anywhere between well, you got to keep in mind with this as well, we have been absolutely flooded with regrades. We've graded almost 500,000 cards. So whenever we get all these regrades in, they're not it's not being added to the pop report, it's just an addendum to it, right?
Okay.
So it's much, much more than that. But at the same time, whenever you get flooded with thousands and thousands and thousands of regrades, that's something that we're having to work through. And it doesn't reflect on certain people's reports. I'm sure you're referring to it. And I can't remember that guy's name, but he puts out that report of a bunch
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you followed that report, then it would say that we do between 1,000 to 1,400 a week. But in all reality, it's much more than that.
Okay. Okay. And again, I'm just trying to bring up some of the concerns that
Absolutely. No,
that
I love it.
I'm in a couple big Facebook groups
Sure.
and HGA groups, and this is all stuff that kind of comes up. And I don't want to necessarily be an HGA fanboy. I want to invest in a good company and a good product, which I love your product, but I also want to hit on the concerns of all these people and everything I've heard.
Absolutely, absolutely. And because and that's the thing too, is like, I don't want to just listen to the fanboys. I love them, they're great. Those are our biggest supporters, and we love them. But at the same time, like, I want to hear from the people that are anti-HGA? Like, why do you not like us? Was it because you got hurt in the past by, whenever we said 10 days means 10 days and 10 days meant
Right,
7?
right.
Like, is that the biggest issue? Is that the lost trust that, we're still trying to gain back within the industry and with some of these people? And that's part of the reason that we came out with that customer guarantee as well. We
Yeah,
wanted to say, okay, this is, we're back, we're doing what we did before, but doing it much better at much higher quality. If you don't know who we are and you see our product and hold our product, then you go, wow, like, this is phenomenal. Like, just the quality, the visual appeal, the whole 9 yards. Like, we blow our competition out of the water at that point.
yeah,
And sometimes the only way to do that is just going to shows and getting in front of these people and talking to these people. But that's just part of it. And that's something that we're doing. And then, as well as the marketing, it's one of those things that I wish that I could just flip a switch and it's like, hey, everybody knows it. But at the same time, some of these things just take time. And we're very, very aware of that. But at the same time, we're going to continue marketing and making sure that we reach people and we get our slab in their hands.
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if I get an HGA slab in your hands, I win every single time.
Right. I don't disagree. I absolutely love the product. I really do. It's for anybody that hasn't had one in their hand, like the clarity is amazing. Again, the feel, the weight of it, they're not cheap at all. You guys didn't cheap out whatsoever on the
Sure.
product.
Yeah. And,
It's
and you'll see that because there's been all sorts of grading companies pop up and come and go and this, that, and the other. And they're just grading one size of cards, just the standard size, and it's just with that kind of cheap slab that, it really it imitates PSA's older slab a little bit.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
and it's not like you can pry yours open or anything like that. You're
good luck.
yeah, yeah. You know,
Yeah.
it's
I've watched some YouTube. Whenever we have like a mistake or whatever, we have to crack our slabs, and it's definitely the hardest slab to crack and everything else. And I've watched some videos on YouTube's of guys doing it, and they're cussing them. They're like, man, these things are horrible, and
yeah,
just trying to get them apart. But at the same time, like, that's good. I don't want people being able to open our slabs and do all this other stuff with it. I mean, like, if you're struggling getting that card out of there, then that means we've done our job.
yeah. And then the other nice thing is you guys do subgrades, and there's not an upcharge for that.
No upcharge. And that's the other thing too, is like, like, as far as the grading, like, we want to grade the card for actually what it is. And with those subgrades, we don't hide behind just a single grade that says, hey, this is
Yeah,
what it is. If you get an 8 on your corners and it tells you have an 8, all of a sudden you're looking at your corners, you're like, oh, I've got whiting there, this corner's got a little bit of a roll in it, this one's and so on and so forth. Like, it almost like educates the customer if they're not sure exactly what they're looking at, by just studying kind of the results that they get back on their cards.
well, there's so many times I see people that get back a PSA 6 and they're just sitting there like, okay, how? They're looking at their card like, how is this a PSA 6? They have no clue,
Right.
you
No
know,
clue.
and I just feel like every company should do subgrades, but that's just me. That's my
I,
biased opinion, I guess.
Hey, I feel the same way, and that's the reason that we do. But I mean, and that's the thing as well, is whenever we go to like grade your card, like, we don't just pick that sucker up, look at the front, look at the back, and then call it a day. We're examining it. We're looking at it. Like, the grade that you get with HGA, you can bank on that is the grade of that card. And
Right.
that's part of the reason that you see a lot of people, they'll buy HGA 9s and 9.5s, and they'll crack some of these and send them to PSA. And the 10 rate is through the roof. Like, there was and I don't like the fact whenever I hear people like, oh, I'm going to crack this out of an HGA and send it in to like this other company. But
Right.
here's
Right.
here's an instance that I thought was just really, really, really interesting. There was a guy, and I think we're going to try to repurpose this video and use it for some marketing in a way that makes sense. But he went out and he bought 5 flawless HGA cards. Essentially, if you don't know what that is, that means that it's got 4 subgrades of a perfect 10. And they bought those flawless off eBay. They did a video. They cracked them all, sent them into BGS. 4 out of the 5 came back as black labels.
Wow.
One of them came back a 10, where I think it was a corner. BGS gave it a 9, a 9.5, and where we had gave it a 10. The black label is like sought after, big
Tough.
time, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that, if you look at that and you want to talk about grading, right, and you put up HGA and BGS's standards and be like, man, that's neck and neck, that's almost as perfect as you can get. That's impressive, and that's something that I don't think enough people realize or talk about.
Yeah.
So
That is really impressive. I want to see that. I want to see what the
yeah,
cards are.
I'll have to I'll find the video and I'll send it to you. But I've been telling like our marketing team, I'm like, hey, we need to reach out and talk to this guy and reuse this video in some way, because that's a big deal. I mean, like I've submitted a lot of cards to a lot of different companies, and I've never got a black label from
Yeah. Me
BGS,
either. Yeah.
and that's something that's very, very hard to do. And the fact that like our flawless and their black label is about the same is pretty impressive.
Now, one more thing I want to touch on is your custom labels. Probably the biggest hit of your company. I would have to say. Um, they're amazing. A lot of people absolutely love them. They look great in the kabooms, downtowns. I love. Um, the one thing I've heard a lot is, why not have a custom, like a library, maybe like a small library to choose from. Um, One, it would probably speed up the process a little bit. Two, maybe lower the cost for the customer. If they're picking a select template. Um, just I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because that's been one thing I've heard people keep saying over and over and over again.
Yeah, and no, and you guys are 100% right. This is actually something that is currently going on right now for HGA. We could have released this probably a couple months ago, um, but at the same time, we wanted to make sure whenever we put it out that it was pretty awesome.
So we're kind of
And
getting the inside scoop right now.
yeah, so this is breaking news right here.
Breaking news.
So
All right.
it is coming. It
CNN.
will it will be here. It will be here very soon. With that, it's going to kind of change the whole way that you're able to put in an order, what that looks like, because choosing a label and you sit down to put your order in, there is more steps with HGA than there are other companies, which does take more time. We want to make sure that even though like there's no way of getting around that, there's going to be more steps, because if we have more offerings than other companies, it's going to take a little bit longer to be able to do some of these. But at the same time, like that customer experience, we really want that to be really, really nice. So we've kind of went back to the drawing board on like, hey, how are orders inputted? I mean, it's almost impossible, but I want to be able to just use my phone. Like how can I
Right.
just use my phone, or if I want to get on a computer, what different options do I have? So we've completely revamped what that looks like. We're going to have a label library that's going to be pretty
Awesome.
extensive. That's going to have search functions and features and everything that you could imagine in it. We're going to have, I'm not going to get into all the
That's
details.
that's exciting.
I got to save some stuff, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's pretty awesome. I got to see, this was last Wednesday. I got to see hey, this is 98% done, and it's pretty phenomenal. It's
That's
pretty
awesome.
phenomenal. So I'm very, very excited about that. But yeah, I mean, like you hit on a lot of different points as well, as with it, with customers being able to choose like their label, like yeah, that will absolutely speed up production, right? And if it's able to speed up production, then that's a savings that I can pass on to customers,
It's great.
and be able to do that. And then also it's we're going to get into being able to offer, some labels that you and only you can ever get, and edits that go through that. And, it's there's a lot of really, 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 really cool stuff coming.
See, I like that. Like I like that idea as well. So let's say I got a card and I created the label myself, right? I almost want to ensure that nobody else can use that label ever again. Because I want like that one of one feel, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, one of
So
one. Absolutely.
so will you guys have a way to ensure that? Like I send you a label that I've created. Will that be safe? Like,
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. With the exception of, because there's customers all the time, and we'll send in like mock-up labels that they've made, and some of them are phenomenal. I'm like, hey, I need to give this guy a call and see if they want a job.
Yeah, yeah,
but,
yeah.
but at the same time, like, one thing that we have to watch and we have to be very, very careful with is copyright issues. So just opening it up and saying like, hey, design your label, send this in. People are going to go and they're going to find images and this, that, and the other that are copyrighted, and we just can't use that stuff. We a lot of the graphics and the stuff that you see are stuff that like our artists will hand draw, or that they will come up with themselves. And but to get back to your question of like, if you want to design a label and make sure that no one ever uses this label again, but you, it's gonna be possible. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll be saved to your profile. So you'll have access to reuse that label. You'll be able to put it on kind of whatever you want. And you know, the way it's going to work is it's going to be pretty similar to the way that the custom is now, but it's going to be like, hey, like, this is what I envision with this label. And then our graphic designers are going to get it and be like, okay, cool. Like, let me run with this and come up with something. And they're going to come up with it. They're going to send it to you and be like, hey, here's where I'm at. What's your thoughts? And then at that point, you can say like, hey, yes, no, do this, don't do this, add this in. And then at that point, they're going to make those changes. And then that's the kind of product that you're going to get. That's going to be super, super, super cool. And I think that, one thing that will be really neat about those is people that, we get in big, big, big cards that we crack out of the big players that we had talked about, because people want their stuff in an HGA slab because it looks better than anybody else's, and the quality and the protection it provides is better than everybody else's. So, like with that, it's like, those people are going to maybe want one label that looks similar for everything for their collection. Like the options are endless, and that's one thing that's really, really cool about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's like I
Yeah.
said, I'll put it down on the bottom. Breaking news, and we'll have the banner.
Hey, we created your thumbnail for this right off the gate.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Yeah.
Breaking news here. But no, is there anything that you want to talk about that, maybe I haven't brought up, or, something that, you know, people that have graded with you should know, or people that haven't, should know? Like, is there anything you want to, reach out to about?
Yeah. So no, there are a couple things. One is like, if you've not graded with us before, um, you definitely need to, because like I said, that selling factor of just get one of our slabs in your hand like that, you're going to be like, wow, this is impressive. And I'm not saying that just because I work for HGA. It's simply the truth.
Well, I don't work for you, so I can I
Yeah,
can say the same
but
thing. The quality is really, really impressive.
it is, and like, there's a lot of really exciting stuff that's going on behind the scenes at HGA. One of the things we kind of talked about with the label library and stuff like that. But there's a lot of different, with that, we're going to be able to add a lot of value to our membership program with that. Right now, it's based solely upon around price, and we kind of knew that, and that was like one thing that we've not been a big fan of, is like, hey, this membership is based just on price. That's getting ready to change very, very, very soon. So there's going to be a lot of additional stuff built into that. Speaking of which, this month we're offering a 50% off, or we're offering a discounted membership price. So if you wanted to take advantage of this now, I would highly recommend it. A little plug there. I hope you like that.
We'll put it on
but,
the screen where
but at the same time, it's just, like HGA is a company, we're not going anywhere. We've been through the highs, we've been through the lows. It says a lot about a company that goes through the hard time that we did and how we came out of that. It says a lot about the company and where they stand and what they're going to be doing in the future. And the fact that we got into a bad backlog and we got behind and we did the right things by our customers, and came out with a customer guarantee says a lot for not only this
Yep.
industry, but just for righting the wrong that happened that we did.
Yeah.
So that to me speaks volumes. And if I'm going to do business with a company, then I want to do business with a company that's transparent, that I can trust, and that 100% is HGA.
I thank you for doing this interview, and I feel like it was all genuine and upfront and honest, and I see nothing but good things coming from your company. So
listen, I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to our next one. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.
All right, take care.